Today I'm going to show you how to crochet a worm on a string scarf. I don't know if you have ever seen these, but they come in all these fun colors, and they're literally just little worms on a string. They've got googly eyes, and you can make earrings out of them, you can make bracelets, you can just have them around. They're soft, they're just kind of fun. So I went ahead and created my version of a crochet scarf worm on a string. So you can see we've got his little tail here, and then we crochet the length of the scarf, decreasing towards his face, and of course you've got the long string part, which is supposed to mimic this little guy here. Make two little eyes, sew them on, and you've got yourself a worm on a string scarf. This is really simple. You can use any size yarn, any size hook. I'm probably just going to use a 4-weight acrylic yarn for this project, and anywhere from a 4 to a 5.5 millimeter hook. To make the scarf, we are going to start at this end and finish up with this end here. It's really simple. You just need to know the basic crochet stitches: single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, and we'll do a little bit of increasing and decreasing. For the worm on a string scarf, I am using this Big Twist value yarn. This is 380 yards or 6 ounces. You will need 1 full ball of this. You'll also need a little white and black for the eyes. You can use a size 5 millimeter hook or a 5.5 millimeter hook. I am using a size 5.5 millimeter hook for this tutorial. You'll also need scissors and of course a yarn needle to weave in your ends. Let's go make some worms. For the worm, we are going to start with the tail end of our worm. So you want to put a slip knot on your hook, and we're going to start by chaining 3. We're going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook, and single crochet into that next stitch or chain that we did. We're going to chain 1 and turn. You should have 2 stitches. We are going to single crochet in the next 2. So single crochet all the way back in those 2 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. Row 3, we are going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch. So a single crochet 2 times into that first stitch, and a single crochet 2 times into that next stitch. So we should have 4 stitches, 2, 3, 4, running across the top. We're going to chain 1, turn. Row 4, we are going to single crochet into every stitch. So just a single crochet into every stitch. You'll have 4 stitches at the end of this row. At the end of this row, we have our 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4. We want to chain 2 at this point, turn our work, and we're going to start working half double crochets. We want 2 half double crochets into this first stitch. So we yarn over, put a half double crochet 2 times, we want to put a half double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So just 1 half double crochet to the next stitch and a half double crochet into the next stitch. That leaves us with 1 stitch left, and we are going to put 2 half double crochets into that last stitch. At the end of this row, you should have 6 stitches in total. We want to chain 2, turn our work, and we're going to put a half double crochet into each stitch. And your chain 2 at the beginning does not count as a stitch, it's just to get up to the height. So you should still have 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's our start of our little worm tail. For row 7, we want to start with a chain 2, turn our work, and you're going to put 2 half double crochets into that very first stitch. You're going to work 1 half double crochet all the way across into the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And into this very last stitch, you're going to work 2 half double crochets. So we want a half double crochet into the next, half double crochet into the next, half double crochet into the next, half double crochet into the next. That brings us to our last stitch, and I'm going to work 2 half double crochets into that very last stitch. And you should have 8 stitches at the end of this row. Chain 2 and turn. We're going to work 1 half double crochet all the way across. Again, you'll have 8 stitches at the end of this row. We're going to chain 2 and turn. We are going to put 2 half double crochets into the first stitch, a half double crochet into the next 8 stitches, and 2 half double crochets into that last stitch. At the end of this row, you should have a total of 10 stitches. Chain 2, turn, and work a half double crochet all the way across. Chain 2 and turn. We're at an increase row, so we're going to put 2 half double crochets in the very first stitch and the very last stitch. Every stitch in between will just be 1 half double crochet. So you're going to alternate rows between an increase row where you put 2 half double crochets on each end into the first stitch and the last stitch. Every stitch in between just gets a single half double crochet. The next row will be a half double crochet into every stitch. So you're essentially adding 2 stitches on those increase rows. And you want to have a total of 22 stitches. Once you get 22 stitches, you've increased so you kind of have a wider V. I will meet you back here and I will show you how to continue on with your little worm body. I'm on my last increase row. At the end of this row, I will have 22 stitches, and we can start the body. Just putting 1 half double crochet into each stitch across, and on the increase rows, which is every other row, you put 2 half double crochets into the first stitch and the last stitch of that row. And always remember on these half double crochet rows, the chain 2 that you do does not count as a half double crochet. You should always have an even number of stitches every row. So if you have an odd number, go back and count, see where maybe you forgot to add one in or missed a stitch or something. Here's my last stitch. I'm going to put 2 half double crochets into that stitch, and there's my little worm tail. The next part is the worm body, and you're just building the scarf straight. We're going to chain 2, and now we're going to be working half double crochets. The chain 2 to start every row will count as a double crochet. So you don't want to work back into that stitch. You want to go into the next one, and you're going to work a half double crochet. A double crochet. So there's our chain 2, that counts. That goes with our stitch here. Into the next, we're double crocheting. And we are putting 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way across. So you should have 22 stitches for this row and every row moving forward until we get to the head of our worm, and then we will mix up the pattern a little bit. So I have worked a double crochet into every stitch across. Our chain 2 counted as our first double crochet. And you should have 22 stitches at the end of that row. And you're just going to work double crochet until your scarf from this point is about 48 to 50 inches long. If you want a longer scarf, keep going. depending on how much yarn you have. Chain 2, that counts as a double crochet, so we won't work into that first stitch. We'll move to the next one and double crochet into that stitch. Double crochet into the next stitch and every stitch across. And you will always have 22 stitches when you're working the length of your scarf. So continue on double crocheting every row. Don't forget the chain 2 to start the row will count as a double crochet. You're going to be double crocheting until you get about 48 to 50 inches long, and then we will start shaping the worm head and the little worm string, and then we'll finish this body and we'll put on some eyes and he'll be all ready to go. Alright, so once you work a number of double crochet stitches into every stitch across, and there should be 22 stitches across, you'll have something that looks like a really long scarf, right? There's where I finished. So from the very end of our worm to this point here is about 60 inches for me. But again, depending on how much yarn you have, how long or short you want your worm scarf, that number can vary. Once you get the length that you're happy with, we're going to start decreasing just a little bit on the sides. Like we've been doing, we're going to chain 2, turn our work so we're on this side. This counts as a double crochet. So into the next 2 stitches we are going to work a decrease. Yarn over, put your hook into that next stitch, drop a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over, go through the next stitch, drop a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. You should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull back through all 3. Now we've decreased. We've done a double crochet decrease. On each end you will have just a regular double crochet, and you're going to decrease again when you get to the last 3 stitches over here. So work your double crochet stitches all the way across until you get to the last 3. Alright, so I've worked double crochets all the way across. I have 3 stitches left. This one, and then of course the stitch that is the top of our chain 2. So to decrease, I'm going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, drop a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2. Yarn over, go through the next stitch, drop a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the 3 loops that were left on your hook, and now don't forget to do a double crochet into the top of that chain 2, and that is how we decrease. So we started with 22 stitches across when we were working the length of our scarf. At this point we have decreased by 1 stitch on each side, so we should have 20 stitches. And you can go ahead and count. I count as I'm decreasing just to make sure that I haven't missed a chain 2 over here or any stitch along. So you're going to work in this decrease manner for the next few rows until you get 14 stitches across. So again, we're chain 2, turn our work. That chain 2 counts as a double crochet. We are going to decrease in the next 2 stitches. Yarn over, put your hook in the next stitch. We have 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, go into the next stitch, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Double crochet all the way across, and then decrease in the last. When you get to the last 3 stitches, decrease in the next 2, and then a double crochet in the top of that chain 2 from the previous row. When you get back to the last 3 stitches, remember you're going to have 1 here, and then there is a stitch at the top of that chain 2. Don't ever forget that, or your counts will be off. We're going to decrease into these next 2 stitches. Yarn over, pull through all 3, and then put a double crochet into the top of that chain 2. And you should now have 18 stitches running across. So continue doing this until you have 14 stitches, and then I will show you what to do next. I have 14 stitches across. At this point we are going to do a double decrease, I suppose that's what you can call it. We're going to chain 2, turn our work, and we're going to decrease in the next 3 stitches. So yarn over, put your hook in that first stitch, drop a loop, yarn over, pull back through 2, yarn over, go in the next stitch, drop a loop, yarn over, pull back through 2. We have 3 loops on our hook. One more time, yarn over, go in the next stitch, drop a loop, yarn over, pull back through the next 2. When you have 4 loops on your hook, you're going to yarn over and go back through all 4. We're going to double crochet in the next 6 stitches. We are going to do a double decrease in the next 3 stitches. Into the next, into the next. We have 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, draw through all 4, and don't forget to put a double crochet into that chain 2 at the end. At this point you should have 10 stitches across. Go ahead and count them and make sure. Chain 2, turn your work, and we're just going to work a single decrease across the next 2 stitches. Double crochet to the last 3 stitches. When you get to the last 3 stitches, you're going to work a decrease. And 1 double crochet into the top of that chain 2. You should have 8 stitches along the top. We are going to work 1 more decrease to get down to 6 stitches. So chain 2, turn your work, work a decrease in the next 2 stitches. Double crochet in the next. There are 3 stitches left, work a decrease, and 1 last double crochet into the top of that chain 2. You should now have 6 stitches. So we've got 1 here from our chain 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Chain 2, at this point we're going to start working in half double crochets, and this will form that long string part of our worm. The chain 2 does not count as a half double crochet. So work right back into that same stitch, half double crochet, and half double crochet into every stitch across. So you're going to have 6 stitches, 6 half double crochet stitches all the way across. Don't forget to work one into the top of that chain 2. Going to chain 2, turn, and again work half double crochets into that same stitch and all the way across. Keep working this until your little worm string is as long as you want it, and then we'll fasten off and put on some eyes and our little worm will be done. So I have worked this little string part for about 7 inches. At this point I am just going to fasten off. I'll cut my yarn, weave in my ends, and then we can put some eyes on this guy. To make the eyes, you're going to want to make 2. Start with a magic ring, chain 3, and put 7 double crochets into that magic ring. At this point, I have just worked my half of my 7th. I'm going to finish that double crochet. We want to join to the top of that first chain 3 that we did. So I'm going to find that, and I know the black yarn is impossible to see on camera, but just put your hook in the top, bring in your white yarn, and pull the white yarn through those loops. Now you've changed color. Chain 2, 3, chain 3, and work a double crochet into the same stitch that you just chained out of. And again, the white and the black yarn is not good on camera, so I'll try to walk you through it as best as I can. You are now going to put 2 double crochets into every stitch all the way around, and you should have a total of 16 stitches at the end. Once you get around to the beginning, you're going to put a slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 that we did to start this round. Chain 2, work a half double crochet into that same space that we just chained out of, 1 half double crochet into the next chain, next stitch, 2 half double crochets into the next, 1 half double crochet into the next, 2 half double crochets into the next, and just keep working around in that same pattern all the way. When you get it back around, go ahead and put a slip stitch in, and you can fasten off, and there's your eye. So make 2 of those, and then I'll show you how to sew them on. I have my 2 worm eyes. As you can see, this one I have taken care of all of my tails. This one, when I finished, I left a very long tail, which is handy because now I don't have to cut a separate piece to sew it on. So if you remember, try to leave a little bit of a tail before you fasten off or before you cut your yarn. It makes it easier to sew in. This one, of course, I didn't. So I just cut a long piece of the white yarn, and I will sew that around and onto my scarf. You need a yarn needle and of course scissors to cut the ends once you have sewn these on. You can pick any side of your worm, whichever side you think looks better, to be the front. We are going to sew these on about at the point where we start to decrease. So you can kind of place your eyes wherever you think they look the best. And here's our little string end. So if you like them a little higher up, that's fine. If you want them closer to the string, that's fine. Wherever you think looks good, go with it. I'm going to show you how to sew this on with the eye where I've left a long tail. Thread up your needle, place your eye, and I like to place it where I can tell where there's sort of a line from your double crochets, because then it'll make it easier to place the second eye, you know, instead of having them a little bit lopsided, although you could do that too if you want. So I'm just going to place my eye down, and I'm going to go right in to the top and come out the bottom. You can see on the side where he is, and just kind of pick another spot, and you want to stay on the outside of the eyes, so going around the very edge, and just go through each stitch in and out, front to back, all the way around. You can stop every once in a while, check the back out, make sure the eye looks good, and keep going. Now, if it's helpful for you, you can use sewing pins to keep the eyes where you want them as you're sewing. So I'm going to go ahead, finish up this eye, sew this eye on with my separate piece of string here, and then I'll show you how he looks. So here is our little worm on a string scarf. I've sewed my eyes on, woven in my ends in the back, and you really can't tell unless you're looking closely where the stitches are. Here's where we started, the very end, his little tail, and we've got this long scarf here, and then of course the eyes and his little string part of his face there. These come out super cute. They're great as gifts, just for fun. They're unique. I just love them. I think they're super cute. I hope you guys like this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.